Kia ora, good evening. Exploration in the Great South Basin was the topic of discussion at an invitation-only meeting in Invercargill today. Shell New Zealand today held a meeting with members of the community, including representatives from local government, Southport, the Chamber of Commerce and environmental groups. The purpose of the meeting was community engagement, with Shell looking at environmental and social impacts and concerns the community might have. Shell is part of a consortium which holds 2 exploration permits in the Great South Basin. Last year, the venture undertook 3D seismic exploration, the results of which are still being analysed. An internal decision to commit to drilling a well is expected by the 3rd quarter of 2013, and government requires a decision by the start of next year. And Sarah Bedford spoke to Shell New Zealand Exploration Venture Manager Roland Spau after the meeting about the exploration work and possible next steps.
At the moment, it's about a 50-50 chance that we're going to drill or not going to drill. On top of that, there is the technical risk when we drill a well. How big is the chance that we do find gas? And that chance is about 30%. So there's a 70% chance that we do not find any gas at all, and or very extremely minor amounts. So combine that, it's a 15% chance at this stage that we do find something here.
Do you think those are good odds?
Yeah, we are very used to these kind of odds. We have a global portfolio, of course. We have in a lot of countries. We operate in a lot of countries. We drill wells in a lot of countries. So we balance the odds, and to us, a chance of 1 in 3 to find a considerable amount of hydrocarbons is worth the effort. I still have to convince top management in Shell that's worth the while to drill here, and that comes to that 50-50. That has to do with size, but also balancing it on a global portfolio.
What role could Southland play if there was exploration work to go ahead?
Quite a considerable role. The whole southern part of the country, of course. It's not only Invercargill, Bluff, Southland. It's also Otago. If we drill a well, and there will be a drilling rig, a floating drilling rig, out there about 140 kilometers off the coast. It's quite far away. It is not self-sufficient. The people over there need they need food. Maintenance engineering will be important. So there will be quite a lot of money involved, and we need support from places like Dunedin and Invercargill. Absolutely.
In terms of that, would you be choosing between Bluff and Dunedin, or would it be potentially coming out of both ports?
We haven't decided on that yet. It depends very much on how we're going to do it, what kind of vessel we're going to bring in. So there's no decision on that whatsoever. But overall, I think the whole region will profit from it. It's not just one place where we have our base.
So in terms of if you get the go-ahead to move forward with this project, when could we actually see work begin?
For the drilling, we plan at this stage, notionally plan for the end of 2014, so summer 2014-15 to drill. And the total activity, the drilling activity, is probably between 30 and 40 days. So it's not a lot of time that there will be a drilling rig out there.
Now, there were protesters at the meeting yesterday, but there were none here today in Invercargill. I guess, were you expecting to see some here?
No, not really. We phoned around and asked around, and we didn't think there were a lot of people here that would seriously protest. By the way, we have no problem at all with people that protest. That's a democratic right of people to do that. So no problem at all, as long as they let everybody else speak as well. And that was a problem yesterday, and that's why we closed the meeting, because it was not very not going in a safe way, anyways, and there was no way out. So we closed that down.
Economic activity was strong in the March quarter and recovery is broadening, according to a survey released today. The NZIER quarterly survey of business opinion says businesses are optimistic and are hiring and investing more. Business optimism rose to the highest level since March 2010. Principal economist Shamubil Ekwab says there are encouraging signs of a broadening and strengthening economic recovery. He says it's the most broad-based strength in the survey since the recession began. However, the survey does not look at the agriculture sector directly, so it will not incorporate the impact of the drought, although suppliers to the sector are included. A fire ban has been lifted in parts of Southland, with recent rain bringing enough relief to coastal areas. The southern region had been under a total fire ban since mid-March due to a continued hot and dry weather, with the fire risk very high to extreme throughout most of Southland. The Southern Rural Fire Authority has now lifted that ban for about half of the region. Stewart Island, Western Southland, Te Anau, Otautau, Invercargill, Slopedown, the Catlins and Hokanui south of State Highway 96 are now under restricted fire season conditions instead. Other areas remain under a fire ban and will be subject to ongoing reviews. Stay with us. After the break, a Southland charity goes into business in the hopes of raising funds. Welcome back. Petrol prices fell today, the fourth consecutive fall over the past month. The price of regular petrol fell 2 cents a litre today, now just under $2.20 a litre. Diesel also fell 2 cents and is now $1.48. It's the second cut in 5 days. According to AA, the fall at the pumps brings prices up to date with a fall in commodity prices. The prices at the pump have fallen 9 cents per litre for petrol and 7 cents for diesel for the past 4 drops. A Southland initiative created to bring international students to the province is proving successful and could be used by Education New Zealand as a model on which to base their own marketing. Education Southland is an international student marketing initiative which promotes the region as a destination overseas, particularly in Asia. Project manager Rex Capel says the project has come a long way.
So it's grown leaps and bounds from those first meetings 7 or 8 years ago to now, whereby we have some pretty significant relationships offshore with education agents as well as schools who are sending students here to Southland.
What sort of age group are we talking about?
Actually, when it was initiated, originally just secondary school and sort of older secondary school and SIT type tertiary students. But we've found there's a real demand, especially from Thailand, for the younger age group. So a school like Waihopai Primary School has come on board, and currently they have 10 Thai students in the sort of 10, 11 age bracket who are here on a short-term basis, with a couple staying on for the full year.
What sort of numbers are we talking, Rex?
Anywhere, I mean, in terms of from a secondary school perspective, there's probably close to 200 full-time equivalents across the region. But they come and go in terms of we've developed also some reasonable packages that we've been able to promote from a Southland perspective. So currently there are 42 Thai students from Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, who are here for 8 weeks. And they're spread around 7 schools across the region who participate in the Education Southland initiative. And as well as that, they're involved with the holiday program, excursion program over the school holiday period coming up.
And you're also looking at spin-offs as the parents and siblings come to visit.
Absolutely. One of the really interesting things over the last 5 years that I've observed, and haven't done recently, but about 3 years ago was the last time we did a satisfaction survey of international students. And one of the questions I asked in that survey was around the number or who visits them while they're here over a 12-month period. And over a third of them said that they were visited either by mums and dads and siblings. And so they also then get to experience Southland as a visitor destination, not just as a quality education destination.
Campaigning against violence, making school buses more visible and supporting new immigrants in rural areas are among the topics being discussed by Southern women in the city today. Around 70 rural women from Southland and Otago were at the opening of the annual Regional Rural Women's Conference this afternoon. The theme for this year is positive living, and several guest speakers are scheduled over the next 2 days. Speakers have been asked to put a positive spin on their topics, which include hearing, settlement support and cancer genetics. Southland Provincial Rural Women President Heather Smith says rural women are working on a number of campaigns nationally.
Our biggest campaign is school buses, going 20 kilometres past the school bus. Now that's a huge issue. Not only is it hard for a rural driver to go from 100k down to 20k, but it's also to identify that bus. And so rural women are campaigning strongly to get some sort of highlighted 20k sign on the bus so that we can recognise that bus. And they're looking at illuminating lights that when the bus is about to stop, those lights start flashing. So that will help tremendously. We also, and a positive one, is our Enterprising Rural Women of the Year competition that we run every year. And we've had 20 entries this year for that. So encouraging rural women to look at their businesses and see how well they're going.
What are some of the main issues that are affecting women in the rural sector in Southland?
I do think there's a lot of women that are out there that are alone. They are coping, but they are very much alone in their communities. That community support changes once your children leave school and you're just working alone. There's a lot more people, because there's not the workers on the farms now. The women are working just with their husbands, and so they're not having time to be community minded quite the same.
The Southland SPCA has opened a second-hand store in Invercargill in the hopes of helping to make ends meet at its local shelter. The new SPCA op shop opened last Tuesday and it's hoped it'll bring in up to $10,000 a month. Southland SPCA shelter manager Mary Bradley says the idea was sparked after she learned some shelters in other parts of the country were earning up to $20,000 a month from their second-hand operations. The idea has been in the pipeline since 2009 and she says it's all come together after finding an affordable space and enough volunteers to work in the store. And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, Steel Vice-Captain Wendy Frew on the weekend's netball action. That's after the weather next. Good night.